What is up, boyos? It is Water Buffalo Man here, and we're back for more Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle. Alright, so we have gotten the LR ANILAZA from the battlefield, I think just like 2 days ago. This unit's kind of pretty terrible. So far what I'm seeing, it's averaging mine only. I've been link leveling it little by little, and it's only getting close to like 5-6 million attack stats at max. I haven't really put him through the ringer yet, but he's been kind of on the lower end. I'm hoping he gets better when he's closer to 100%, but I've seen some videos and clips of him being at 100%. He's not too great, but let's break down how to build this guy. The ultimate colossal fighter of Universe 3, ANILAZA. It's a leader skill for super bosses, category key 3, 130 across the board, so it's a free-to-play leader skill pretty much for super bosses. Super attack is Majestic Smash, which greatly raises defense for 1 turn, causes colossal damage to enemy. I mean, that's not terrible really for being what he is. Ultra Super Attack, Majestic Lava, greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes mega colossal damage to enemy, and raises extreme class allies defense by 30% for 1 turn. That's actually kind of a cheeky little buff right there that he gives to his allies. That 30% buff, especially if you could run him in slot 1 or slot 2, is really, really great for that reason, because of the fact that he buffs everybody else's defense up pre-super, and then when they super, they get that additional buff. It makes everything run a little smoother. But the passive skill is Trump Card of Universe 3, activates entrance animation once only, key +3 attacking defense of 130%, and foresees enemy super attack for 3 turns from the character's entry turn when there is another final Trump Card or Super Bosses category ally on the team upon the character's entry. He gets key +3 attacking defense of 130 at start of turn, so there's an additional, it literally doubles when you get the entrance animation, so key 6 and 260, which isn't terrible. Plus an additional key 3 and reduces damage received by 30% when HP is 30% or more, which is really actually pretty decent, because you're not really going to go below 30% that often anymore, unless if you just take a super slot 1 or at the final end of a turn and then he comes up as slot 1 next turn. But realistically, even at that point, you're still going to be pretty good. Randomly changes key spheres of a certain type to STR, which is really good as well. Launches additional attack, has a high chance of becoming a super attack with 3 or more key spheres obtained that are STR, so there you go. He could launch 2 supers back to back. Launch an additional super attack with 5 or more STR key spheres obtained, so there you go. It links back into the changes key spheres to STR, so if he gets 5 or more, he's guaranteed to launch an additional super, so you could launch this super, then this super from the 5 one, and then have a chance of launching this again from getting the 3 key spheres here, so it's another 50% chance to launch that. So you could go greatly raises attack and defense, and stacking greatly raises twice defense for 1 turn, which is really good actually. Plus an additional attack and defense of 130 and reduces damage received by 30% as the first attacker in a turn, so there goes back to my point prior of the raises extreme class allies defense by 30% for 1 turn. Having him in slot 1 gives him that additional 30% damage reduction, so that gives him 60% start a turn with 30% HP or more, which is really nice as long as he's in slot 1. And he gets the additional attack and defense buff. That's really good as well. Plus, he gets an additional attack and defense of 30% performing a super and a high chance of launching an additional super attack, and attacks effective against all types as the second or third attack in a turn. This, to me, isn't as great of a buff as running him in slot 1 with this, because if you can stack this with this, it gives you 60% damage reduction right off the start. And if you're, as long as you're not taking a super, which you could foresee the super, by the way, right here, for the first 3 turns, as long as you can know you're not taking that super, that 60% damage reduction is going to do pretty well for him. Like I said, I haven't really used him in his best case scenario yet, so I can't really say, but he also doesn't have great linking partners either. If you look at who he's got here, Jiren is honestly his best, and Cellmax is pretty decent, but they're not linking too great. I also, like I said, don't have mine with Big Bad Bosses fully maxed out yet, so I haven't had the chance to really burn him through everything yet. But you're looking at 60% damage reduction, 130 attack and defense, 130 attack and defense, plus additional 130 right there, so that's 390%. Plus you're launching a super attack, which greatly raises attack and defense, and if you give him 5 or more key spheres, you're guaranteed at least 2 defensive stacking supers on top of the 60% damage reduction. You're looking pretty decent in terms of defense for this guy. Easily, probably close to 1 million, I would say, if he was a 100% unit. But as of right now, he's not. You can't even get him above 55%. So he's looking pretty decent though at this moment. And then he also does active skill of Majestic Halation, which causes ultimate damage to enemy, key +24, and attack and defense of 30% for 1 turn. Can be activated when there is a tournament participants category enemy starting from the 3rd turn from the character's entry turn, or starting from the 5th turn from the character's entry turn once only. So you're guaranteed to get it after 5 turns, or if there's a tournament participants enemy in any way, shape, or form, which I mean, this is kind of cool. If you're using it on like a final turn end of fight, you get that 30% buff prior to all of this to activating, but more than likely you've lost this at that point, so it really doesn't help too much. You're still losing that 100%. Unless if it falls where it's like this is his third turn, so he still has this plus this, it kind of really doesn't benefit this much if you're losing this additional here. But it is what it is. His link skills are Mechanical Menaces, which is actually really decent if we could get him a pretty solid link partner, which honestly there's nobody on this team that's really good for links for him. So that kind of really kills that one, because it would give him 5% damage reduction in fighters, pretty good, so it gives him 15% attack. Big bad bosses is always great. Tough as nails is pretty good as well, which gives you defense plus 20 and damage reduction to 5% as well. Which tough as nails, Hachiyak is probably going to be his best linking partner, but I don't even think they share any teams. So that kind of makes this really hard as well. I mean, these guys could work if you run them on a Universe Survival Saga team, but you're probably not going to do that with them. Because yeah, it does help his defense by a lot, 20% defense plus 5% damage reduction. So if let's say you get both of these activated at the same time, it's additional 10% on top of his 60, so that gives you 70%. He gets Fused Fighters, which gives him more defense, Legendary Power, and then Tournament of Power. So I mean, he has some pretty decent link skills. This is what we're looking at right now, the 55% category, because you can't get him to 100% yet. But he's looking pretty decent, but not outstanding. So my build for this man, since he is a STR unit and he's getting guaranteed crit, is going to be definitely additionals and dodge across the board, because he is going to definitely need that. I get it. He doesn't have crit built into his passive, but his stats say otherwise. He is not warranted for using crits on him at all. He is not going to be that great in terms of offense. He doesn't have many multipliers in terms of attack and defense that really will buff him up, and his links aren't great for offense as well, and his link partners aren't great. But he fits on what teams for 200%, just these two. So nothing too great, but give me 1 second, guys. I'm honestly going to say we go 6, 5, and 15 with this guy. Like, I'm looking at his statistics now at 55% on my version specifically, and since he's an STR type, he has the built-in 5 crit, which is kind of nice. But you could go top left, go 3 additional and 6 dodge, and then bottom right, 3 additional, 9 dodge. So it turns out to be 6 additional, 5 crit, and 15 dodge. Excuse me, which I feel like is going to be the best option for this man to give him that chance to dodge if his damage reduction does happen to not, for some reason you're below 30% and you're going to take a super. That can help you. And now for these skill orbs, that is where I'm going to say go a little bit more into the crit category, because like I said, he does have that additional super attacks built in with 5 or more key spheres. So as long as you can give him 3 to 5 plus, you're guaranteed 2 supers, and then if you, since it's above 3, you have that chance, the 50% chance, the high chance of getting that 3rd super, which would be kind of great. Plus you have technically the hidden potential system that could proc, which will give you another one, so it'll be a 4th super. So you'll have 4 stacks of greatly raising defense with 60% damage reduction, could be really good. So I'm going to definitely say go into the crit category, so go crit dodge all the way across the board. Bronze, silver, and gold is going to be your best option for this man. But there is how you have it, and that's how I'm going to build my ANILAZA going forward. I think he's a pretty decent unit, but that's going to be the best build probably for him, with the lack of just everything that he has part of him. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.